First of all, Adrian, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great. How you doing, man?
I'm fine, fine. How's Amsterdam?
Amsterdam's great.
It's your first time here?
No, it's not my first time.
And I saw on Instagram that you went for looking for vinyl in here.
Yeah, I went to a couple stores, and I love digging for records out here, man. I feel like people in Amsterdam really have a good sense of what quality soul music is.
And how can you taste that in the Amsterdam surroundings?
Pardon?
How can you taste the feeling of the people, that the good music, how can you taste it?
Well, I mean, I performed out here before, and it just felt, I mean, there's a real openness to artistic expression out here. At least that's what I feel when I'm out here. I feel that people out here really give people a chance and really kind of look for music. I could be absolutely wrong, but that's just the feeling I have when I'm over here. It feels very, very honest and virtuous, as if the people of Amsterdam are always looking for the next tastemaker or the next person really doing something artistically significant.
And do you feel that you are doing something artistically significant other than people before?
I feel like I'm doing something artistically significant because I'm creating a type of music that is based on classic soul, prog, psych, jazz, funk music, particularly the music that was developed from 68 to about 73. And I'm trying to make it modern by infusing the compositional and sonic perspectives of a 90s hip-hop producer looking back at that music to push it forward. So that's what I'm doing, and there's other people like myself doing it, so it's not just me. But I feel people like us are a community that speak for a silent majority, and in that we're trying to push the sonics of the current sound, trying to push the compositional parameters of what modern music is right now. You know, we're not just trying to be underground, we're trying to be tasty and popular and also appeal to the underground audience that have left a lot of the modern pop arenas in order to find something that stigmatizes them, something that's special to them. That's what we try to do. So.
And you already mentioned it, 86, 73. That specific time, what's so special about the music that was made back then?
In asking me what's so special about the music made between 68 and 73, we might be here for a couple days. But in a nutshell, no, in a nutshell, that was a very experimental time in music. That, to me, is the coming of age of modern popular music around that time, because that was the dawn of real psychedelic music. That's when psychedelic music kind of hit a pinnacle. Also, as a lot of the white rock artists were taken from black artists, a lot of black artists were taken from white artists because they were pulling in the psychedelic sound and feeling into their own music. So we had a new kind of amalgamation of sonic bliss. I mean, the equipment of the time is, to me, the best recording equipment ever made and used. Everything I have in my studio is based from that time. The kind of artists that we had, burgeoning artists like Jimi Hendrix to Curtis, to Isaac Hayes, to Ennio Morricone, to the Beatles. I mean, that was a time that will never be replicated again. But the point of what I'm trying to say is those artists during that time made music that was so timeless, people still buy it today.
And do you want to make, maybe some stupid question, but do you want to make timeless music yourself then, sampling?
My goal in making music is to make timeless music. I mean, I'm against anything trendy. I don't like following trends, I don't like trends. And what I want to do is be that producer-composer that makes popular music that has no trend to follow, you know what I'm saying? Or follows no trend. The kind of producer, composer that makes music that make people want to stop what they're going and going into a new direction. And that is a concept that is a unilateral artistic perspective on just the creation of art. You always want to make a statement with your art. Art is communication. So you want to make some sort of statement that is going to spawn new ideas and continue the progression of creativity. That's what I want to do.
And what's your statement? And then
Well, my statement is basically that I want to create art that's special and meaningful. And I like to be the kind of artist that pays specific attention to detail, because I feel that my fan base, or a fan base that I seek to appeal to, are the type of fans that search for detail. And when they find detail, these consumers feel as though that detail was made especially for them, and there's an intimacy, there's a communication, because some people don't understand that language.
so do you try to reach a specific type of people who listen to your music, not the mainstream, or who feels your music? What you
My
just said?
thing is, I try to appeal to people that seek cultivated art. And that seems like a highbrow statement, but it's just the honest truth. I like to make art for people that have been past the threshold of just looking for trends. They've been through so much, they've studied so much music leisurely, not like reading a book or going through all records, just leisurely throughout life. They've studied so much music that their threshold to be stimulated is higher than the average person. That's the kind of person I try to make music for. Doesn't mean my music is better than another person, but as far as who I try to make music for, it's those people.
And you already mentioned the period 86, 73. You were self-born
68
in,
to 73, yeah.
Sorry, yeah. You were born in 78.
Yeah.
So when did you hear those records for the first time? Can you recall one specific album or record or song?
Well, I'll start off with some of my background, and I'll get to the point of how I heard those records. In '96, I started producing hip-hop music with a sampler, MPC 2000, and I had a little 8-track recorder, and I was just sampling records. And being a kid that is a product of hip-hop, I just wanted to make hip-hop like the Primos, like the RZAs, even like the DJ Shadows, you know. And what happened is, when I started listening to these records, my mind was blown, because I was hearing the source material of hip hop. I was hearing the source material that was created during a very experimental time. And that source material, that 68 to 73 music, the way it sounded, the way it was composed, the musicianship, that's what hit me harder than hip hop did. So at that time, I just started diving in, going in, and I was trying to understand the science of sound. I wanted to learn what they did to create that kind of sound. I wanted to know what they did to play that kind of music, to compose that kind of music. I wanted to know what kind of audience they were playing for, because there's underground stuff, but there's also popular music of that time. And they made money on both. They sold on both. So it's like, I wanted to know what it felt like to be in a time where you could make that kind of experimental music and have it blow up, but have it be a cultivated type of music that was recorded to tape. So in doing that, we're hitting at 97. And during 97, hip-hop, modern hip-hop music was just going in a different direction. And I always tell people, like, I stopped listening to hip-hop in around 97 and just went straight into records. And in going straight into records, I found that that's what now was inspiring me. And ever since, I just haven't been listening to hip hop at all. I've just been,
Can you define what went wrong maybe after '97?
yeah, well, basically, what went wrong is that hip hop was made for a subculture. Hip hop hip hop music symbolized the rebellious, youthful, experimental, creative subculture that grew in New York and expanded around the world. In 93, to me, from 93 to 96, that's when it kind of hit, that's when it matured and hit its pinnacle. Because artists like Tribe Called Quest, Souls of Mischief, De La Soul, Wu-Tang, they were still making music that was experimental. However, they were still going gold, they were still going platinum, they were still selling big numbers, okay? 97 is a time when hip hop was going a little more underground, and let's just for purposes of this discussion, call the split rap music, and that was going to popular radio. This music was no longer talking to the hip hop nation. You see what I'm saying? And that's what blew up with the mainstream. That's what started to monetize the labels, the big record labels, the major labels. So that started going in one direction. And when that split occurred, I just stopped following everything altogether because it was no longer speaking to me. Also, at that time, a lot of artists stopped recording analog, and my ears are very sensitive to analog. Like it's like how some dudes won't talk to a chick that's beautiful with messed up shoes. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like that's how it is with me with music. If something's recorded digital, I just can't hear it because my ears are too sensitive. You know, my ears are too sensitive to it, so I just can't. I can't get into it because it doesn't stimulate me, and it's just an honest thing. So that's why I stopped listening to hip hop at that time. But going back to your initial question regarding why that period of 68 to 73 is so important, is because that period, that experimental period, mirrored the experimental nature of what hip hop was during the golden era. And that served as the source material that hip hop producers like Primo, RZA, Q-Tip, Ali Shaheed, this is what they were sampling to make that great music. But that source material is actually better than the music that they were creating at the time of the golden era. Love golden era hip hop, this stuff is actually better than this. So I wanted, or what I seek to do is put myself in the position of being that golden era hip hop producer of that time, going back to 68 to 73, to talk with these composers, talk to Bob James, talk to Idris Muhammad, talk to Herbie Hancock, talk to them about what kind of things they were doing to make that kind of music, how they were playing, how they were recording, to come back to today to synthesize both these perspectives to make a new sound. That's why that music inspires me, and a lot of the modern music doesn't inspire me as much.
Was it a long journey to take from now on to the golden era of hip hop, how you call it, and to the beginning of the 70s, and take it back to now 2014? How was that journey for you?
It's been a long, continuous journey for me, you know, because the thing is, these are just ideas. These are just ideas, and now I'm just making new ideas. You know what I'm saying? So, I have a wide palette of music. I always say that a hip hop producer knows more music than the average person because, and this is a very general statement, but because their job is to listen to music around the world to make derivative forms of that. You see what I'm saying? As a hip hop producer that samples, you listen to hundreds and hundreds of records a week trying to find that sample. So when I was sampling in the 90s, my palette just began to grow. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. To the point where I would hear a sample, and before or I would hear a riff on a record, before that's over, my mind would go in a certain direction. And when the sample didn't go in that direction, I was pissed off. I was like, shit. Like, and I started realizing, like, am I becoming a composer? Like, is my mind going further than the sample? That's when I picked up instruments. That's why I wanted. That was a point in my life where I said, I want to try to push myself past the sample go to the source material, learn how to record in that way, and open up the chords of the sample to create modern music that's based on a sample perspective, keeping those same kind of chords, keeping those same kind of notes and phrases, but push it in a direction that a hip hop producer would have pushed it in during the golden era had they had the musical capabilities to do so, and we're not limited to just a sampler.